Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video of Cam Talks Rugby. We're going to be analysing a little bit about the under-20 performances over the first round of the under-20 Rugby World Cup here in Italy, and also analysing a little bit about the Māori All Blacks, the Japanese 15. Now, before we go into the under-20s and the results and the fixtures again on Friday, we're going to be talking a little bit on the Japanese performance against the Māori All Blacks. Now, one thing, because I watched the whole game, I analysed everything, and I really do think that Japanese rugby is onto something better. They're really doing well. I think with the likes of Eddie Jones, the coaching staff, bringing in Victor Matfield to help out as well, there's a lot of stuff there which is really interesting for Japanese rugby. As you know, Japanese rugby, especially their league, if you don't know, are filled with World Cup winners, filled with superstars, filled with money. It is a really cool league, and it's an entertaining league. So filled with a lot of interesting players. Okay, and I think, and I really do believe that Japanese rugby is starting to take up on that. It's starting to pick up, especially after the 2019 Rugby World Cup. The sport there is growing. It's grown a lot. Okay, and to see where the Japanese players are, especially if you go and watch the Japanese 15 against the Māori All Blacks, if you go and watch that first half of how the Japanese team was playing, I mean, that's a really good Māori All Blacks team coming off a really competitive season of Super Rugby. So to see what the Japanese 15 are doing and how they've combined, I mean, just the pace that they play at, the structure they play at. I mean, if I take a few players, I mean, I really like the way the scrum half played on the weekend. Quick ball, rhythm, just getting the ball out every single phase, knocking at the door of the Māori All Black defense. So yes, okay, it wasn't the first 15 of Japan, and it wasn't the first 15 of New Zealand. It was the Māori All Blacks and the Japanese 15, basically a second team towards the national team. So it was still a really good performance from Japan, even though they did get smacked in the second half. And we do tend to see these New Zealand teams come and play a really good second half. New Zealand have always have this strategy and always have this tendency to play really well in the second half. And I mean, it's a game of 80 minutes, and that's how New Zealand always play. Where if you're going to play 60 minutes or 50 minutes against a New Zealand team, you're going to get a hiding. So, especially in those last 20 or 30 minutes. And we saw that as well with the Māori All Blacks, you know. I mean, but one thing that really stood out for me is just how the Japanese team played. I mean, it wasn't their first team exact, but it was still a really good team. I like the way Sam Green at 10, he played, how he operated, really stepped up to the table. It looks like Japan have got a really good fly half in at the moment, combined with a very good scrum half as well. So it's interesting to see how Japan has grown, and I do think it also is got to do with that really competitive league they've got going, filled with money, filled with sponsorships, filled with really good players. And it just shows you it's kind of a copy and paste model of what the top 14 is. Yes, okay, the top 14 in France is a completely different level to the Japanese league. 100% agree. I'm not here to debate that. Okay, all I want to do add is it just shows you what money does in sport, in the world of sport, when you're able to bring in superstars, when you're able to pay them what they deserve. All these things sparks for a different debate. Okay. And that's what we've seen as well with the Japanese league. You know, there's a lot of Springboks there, there's a lot of Irish internationals, New Zealand internationals. You know, there's a lot of good players there, English internationals. There's a lot of really good players playing in Japan, Australian internationals. So it's a league full with a lot of good players. And I do think if it keeps continuing like this, it's only going to grow Japanese rugby even more, and also only contribute towards a huge turn in people actually supporting the Japanese league, because that's where the superstars are playing, quite similar to the French teams. And look how the French teams are miles ahead of everyone, especially in the Champions Cup. So it does make for an interesting debate, but we're not going to debate that today. Okay, I'm going to jump into some of the under-20 results over the weekend in the first round of the Rugby World Cup. We've got the England under-20s that played on Sunday. Everyone played on Sunday, by the way. They played against the Scottish under-20s and took them 50 points, 56-19. Bit of a smack. An even bigger smack going against Australia versus South Africa in the under-20s. South Africa winning 73-17. at the Calvisano Stadium. It's quite a well-known stadium. France under 20s, as they always do, very, very strong French team, getting 49 points over Spanish under 20s, under Spain. So it was 49-11 to France against Spain. Ireland under 20s beating Georgia 35-28 in a really, really good, tasty affair. If you guys want to go and have a look at that, highlights on YouTube or wherever you get your highlights from, definitely recommend that. It was a good game. So was the Argentinian game against Wales. Argentina taking that 34-27. Wales do take the defensive point there, being in 7 points away from Argentina, so they do get a bonus point, which is going to be hugely important for their campaign. And New Zealand beating Italy 14-5. All right, so there's going to be some interesting games going up on Friday for the Under 20 World Cup. I mean, it does make for a really interesting Rugby World Cup under 20s. So it will go start off with France under 20s versus Wales, Australia playing Scotland, England versus South Africa, New Zealand, Georgia, Argentina, Spain, and Ireland versus Italy. So some interesting games there. I think England versus South Africa will be a big one, as well as Ireland versus Italy will be another big one, as they obviously played each other back in the under 26 nations too, and that was a really, really tight game. So look, I mean, I think it makes for a really, really interesting under 20 championship. I love watching under 20s because you get to see the future stars of the international teams. A lot of these players do step up and end up playing for the national teams as well. So you see that especially with the French team, there's a lot of players in the French team, especially going to New Zealand, that have played under 20s for France, and France have always had a very, very good under 20 team, and it just boils down to their grassroots and how they manage their players. France have got a really, really good management system with bringing up their players. So do Ireland, so does South Africa with South African schoolboy rugby. So it's very interesting to see how this is going to play. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to be talking a little bit later on the week, obviously, with the results with under 20s. But thanks for always tuning in. God bless, stay tuned, and good luck.